Khalid El-Amin, second-round draft pick of the Bulls last year. We've been following him all week long. We call it summer balling. Here's a look.
Again, you watch the tournament through the eyes of the players, through the eyes of the kids. And Khalid El-Amin, who had just an atrocious game against Gonzaga in the regional final, as they tried to clear that hurdle, still stepped to the line though late in that game and hit the key free throws. 2 shots coming for El-Amin.
Have a lot of time here.
Pressure from Jones, Langdon trips, and UConn has done it! El-Amin comes over and says, we shocked the world. Folks.
We back. TCS. We got an exclusive episode. Like this is a legendary one right now. For real. Like for what we do, we don't even like doing intros. So that was the biggest intro you're gonna get right here for that, man. We're gonna just get right into it, man. What's your name and where you from, man?
Oh, for sure. This is Khalid El-Amin, representing Northside Minneapolis. And let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Let's get right into it, man. So tell us what it was like growing up over north. And what was the first sport that you actually fell in love with or played?
Well, wow. What was it like growing up over north? Well, growing up, man, over north community was really a tight-based community. Everybody knew each other. Growing up, you knew your boundaries. You knew where to go hang out. You knew who to hang out with. But like I said, it was just a tight-knit community. Everybody knew each other, and it was all love, man. It was a big community and a village, man, for if you needed to be checked by a neighbor, you did get checked, the proper way. And it was all love. But I could just remember just the tight knit of the community, everybody knowing each other and everybody looking out for one another. And as far as the first sport that I fell in love with, I would have to say basketball, man. Growing up, I was about 4 years old. My father, Charles El-Amin, he had put a basketball hoop on our garage, man, and that was the neighborhood hangout. As you all know, you put a hoop up outside, man, that's free reigns for anybody to come shoot on your joint. So we had, damn near the whole community over to the crib. And so I have to say basketball, it was my first love because my older brothers, enjoyed playing it and all of their friends came over. So, the younger brother always wants to hang around the big brother. So I had to say hoop was my first love.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how did you know that you were nice? When did it first click that compared to all the other people your age or maybe even older, that you was just nice at hoops?
Man, I can't say really, but I can say this. My pops, man, rest in peace to my father, Charles El-Amin. He kind of sensed it, man. He was the person and the one in the family who was a little bit before his time. He had the insight, seemed like he knew things that we didn't, right, about the future. And he could just tell by the way I was handling the ball at such a young age that I was God gave me a gift to play hoop. So my father was the first one to recognize that I had a gift for the game pretty early, man. So 4 or 5 years old, I'll say.
That's really early.
Yeah.
Now, that's real early, and this is like kind of so like at that young age, like what was like kind of the obstacles leading up to high school? Because your high school career, we're gonna talk about that. We got like a whole list of joints to ask you that. Yeah. In between that time when your dad had first put the ball in your hands, how did you kind of get better? Were you playing at certain rec centers? Were you playing where were you hooping at?
For that time? And that's what I meant about the tight knit community of the North Side. Man, I was going everywhere to get bumps. When I was younger, the Hospitality House, that was a hub to where all the North Side hoopers who lived in the Lowe's, who lived, in walking vicinity, would go. That was the hangout. That's where, you were read your rights. That's where you had a time to fellowship. You had the time to get out and hoop. And you actually, you was competing against guys who could really play. You guys who was very competitive. So me playing with the older crowd, me playing with my brothers, friends, me thinking that I'm one of them, wanting to be around them, just always playing with older, mature guys. I think that was the key for me to improve. That was the key for me to get better. And that was the key for me to, never back down and never was afraid of anybody, because I always competed against older people. So it was nothing for me to take on a challenge on the court.
Yeah, speaking of some of those older guys, like, who were some of those? Because I know it's a lot of legendary hoopers, ballers coming out of the north side, man. So some of your family members, I know some of your uncles, y'all got a big family. So I know I already heard you say some of your brothers, older than they friends. So who were some of the guys you was looking at like, I'm coming for you, or that kind of inspired you?
Well, wow. It's a lot of names, and please forgive me if I don't shout out everybody. If I make a mistake in my memory, blame it on my memory, not my heart, man. So, there was guys coming up. I can remember they had legends and stories about old North High players like Ricky Hicks. Ricky Hicks had a legend about him, how he was so cold on the court, how he would just come in the court and just give it to everybody, open gym, right? Him, Brett McNeil, a lot of old time polars. Who else do we have? We had Prentice Perkins, man. We had Derek Rubin. We had a lot of guys who just was hoopers, and who could really play the game at a high level. We also had old heads, though. We had like Renee Pulley. We had Butch. We had, a lot of those guys who were playing at the North Side YMCA. That's where, we really got to develop between all ages of the guys hooping, from younger guys to older generation. That's where the fellowship and learning to have a high basketball IQ came from me, right? Because, those runs on weekday nights, 7 to 10 p.m., if you lose one game, you might not get back on, right? So that's where we valued having a high basketball IQ, winning no matter whatever happened. Winning took precedence, right? So being able to stay on the court, being able to be smart, and being able to outsmart your opponent, that really is what stuck to me in those weekly runs, man. And that's where I developed my basketball IQ, my competitiveness, and just being a smart player on the court, because nobody wants to come and just play one game and go home and never get back on. So it was about running the court. It was about getting your fours and having a strong team, but at playing the game the right way, man. And I don't want to get away from the names, but it was so many. Minneapolis has so many hoopers, man, that taught me the game, that was able to share, and they didn't even know what they was doing. And I was seeing what they were doing on the court, and I would go mimic that right after the gym, the next day in the gym. I would go mimic that. So, man, just the Northside community, it really, I was really a student of the game, man. You know what I mean? And being a water boy from the Polars at a young age, that just really just had me. That really just made me want to go out and be somebody, right? That pride, that Northside pride that we had back in the day, it really felt great, and it really shaped me to be the type of player that I was, like wanting to dominate. I enjoy dominating because of such of the high basketball IQ and the tradition, the winning tradition that North High had.
Yeah. So you talk about that community and wanting to come up in that atmosphere. Did you even consider another school? Did other schools try to recruit you or try to get you to go there? Do you have friends that went to other schools try to get you to go there?
It wasn't even worth it. I was a polar. From as young as I can remember, all my family went there. So it wasn't even a question if I was going there. I wanted to uphold the winning tradition. I was there when the Polars lost in '85. I was there when, they lost in the regions in '88 and '89. All of those. I was there when we lost. We made it to the state tournament in '91, but lost. So all of those hard losses, all of those things, that I was there for those things, right? So I carried that with me, and so I wanted to bring North back. I wanted to put us back on the winning track, and when it was my turn, right? And so, man, it was just of me having that school spirit, man. And I think a lot of times now you don't get that, but having that Northside pride and that school spirit is what drove me, what motivated me to want to be so successful on the court.
Absolutely.
No, that's just you just talked about pure dominance, and you kind of just described your whole mentality. So like that carried over to high school. Obviously, you won 3 consecutive championships in a row. Yep. You McDonald's All-American. How did you keep that pace going when it was like, because like some could look at it and be like, you know what, it might be too easy for him at this point. How did you keep yourself motivated for like each of those years?
I think, and that's a great question. I think, having early success is a gift and a curse. I think it's a gift and a curse because, the early success, you can become comfortable, right? And you don't get in the gym, you don't grind, you don't go to get better. Like I said, you're just comfortable where you're at. You're hearing that you're a good player already, so you don't put in that extra work. But for me, my family, my religion, it really kept me grounded and kept me motivated to wanting more and wanting to do more. Just never being satisfied, always wanting to do that next thing. And they say you're only as good as your last game. So I wanted to always put my best foot forward, man. And so that was my motivation to being the best player and not allowing that early success to get me comfortable. And so, I just really blessed to have the type of family and the support that I had that always pushed me and kept me humble. But very thankful that I still had that motivation to want to go out and show people on the court that who was the best player when I was playing.
Yeah, sure did do that.
Something I wondered is, could I seen the shot that was going around social media here these past months. Yeah. I think it was a shot to make sure we remembered, and I think everyone remembered how great you were. But when you hit that shot at it was the Civic Center, right? St. Paul Civic Center for the championship.
Yes, that was the quarterfinal game. You talking about St. Thomas Academy? Yeah, that was
like. How was that feeling? Just knowing like we trying to get back to where we getting back to, and my team need me in this moment to come through for a shot. Was it even like? Was it just like this is what I do, or was it like? Was there any pressure? Like how did that
not
feel?
To be. Not to be cocky and whatnot,
but
real talk. It was that was the mentality, though, right? This is what I do, right? And I'm not saying nothing that's not true. You know what I'm saying? I studied for those moments. I prepared for those moments. Being at the YMCA on those weeknights, practicing those, right? Wanting the ball in that time frame, wanting the ball in the last seconds, wanting to come through from my school, from my community, right, from my team. So, but yeah, going back to that game, it was the quarterfinal, 1996 state tournament. We were just coming off of our first state tournament or state championship, going undefeated. So we definitely wanted to repeat as champions. But St. Thomas Academy, man, they had the Twin Towers. Javier Collins, who went on, he played for the Dallas Cowboys. They had another twin tower of Matthew Lee. He went D1, went to Bradley University. Those guys are very successful now as grown men. Shout out to them. But they really pushed us, with their size, controlling the rebounds and altering shots. They were able to keep the game close, and them happening to be up 1 with 5 seconds to go on the free throw line. We needed a miss. Luckily, Matt Lee wasn't a great free throw shooter, so that was the reason why we actually fouled him in that time, because he wasn't a great free throw shooter, and we knew that he would. The chance of him missing were pretty good, so we fouled him down 1. We were able to get the rebound off the 1-and-1. Through the outlet pass to Ozzie. Ozzie passed it to me going up the middle. I was able to take a few dribbles and knock down the 3. That wasn't planned, but, just reading the time and the situation, that's how much time that I had to, get to that shot. Like I said, man, I practiced that shot numerous times. I wasn't nervous. I just wanted to be able to come through for my team and my community because, not only we didn't just want to win one state. We wanted to go back to back. And, that I wanted to live that legacy. I wanted to have that back-to-back state tournament because not many North teams, I don't think none up to that point have done that. And just to make my mark, right, on my career, on my high school career. So, yeah, man. I just stayed calm and was able to knock that shot down, and I knew it was a big shot. I knew it was an opportunity for us to keep playing, but I did it for the North Side. It wasn't just for me; it was for the North Side. And once I did it, I was so happy. I ran and went over to the crowd, right, because I wanted to share that with them, share that with my family, and. Yeah, that was a big shot.
It was monumental, too.
That was legendary.
That was monumental.
Do you think, so thinking back, do you think that was your most competitive high school game, or is there other games that stood out as just like pure competition?
The most competitive? I wouldn't say it's the most competitive, but it was a great game. But we did have some other competitive games that we had to fight and we had to battle to come out victorious in, but that was one of the bigger games because it was in a state tournament, and the whole state was watching, and so I think that's why it gets a little bit, more of the legend status because it was, in the state tournament. But we had fights in the city conference. We had fights in, when we went out of town and played. Even when Oak Hill Academy came in and played.
Play Oak Hill?
Yeah, and we played it. Yeah, we were battling, but we were able to beat them. That was my senior year. That's when they had William Avery. They had Jamel Medley. He went to Villanova. They had Attila Crosby. He went to Pittsburgh. They had a lot of D1 players on that team, man. And on paper, they should have blew us out the water. But, that's why you actually play the game. You know what I mean?
You got to play it.
And so, us representing home, us playing in the Target Center that game, we were just coming from St. Louis. We were able to go to St. Louis. We played a team from St. Louis. We beat them. So we were ready. We were ready to defend, the downtown, the state of Minnesota, and we were able to do that. We were able to come out and we just had a better team. We were just playing at a high level. That game, and we showed who we were. We showed that, it don't matter if you have 8 Division I players, you know what I mean? Right. If you're not together, if you're not a team, you can be beaten. So we were the better team that day, man, and we just wanted to put Minnesota basketball on the map, and we were able to do that with that signature win against Oak Hill Academy.
That's tough right there. I didn't even know about that. They sleeping on that in the archives. How they ain't putting that out there?
I was gonna say y'all
we won by like 20.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like a basketball factory,
literally. Without you mentioning that, besides that, people will swear, and rightfully so. I mean, that was a big game, but just swear that when Minnehaha played Sierra Canyon, that was like the first time that's happened. Where that's happened when you had come to the Target Center. Yeah. Right. No, we did it. We did it back in 97, my senior year.
To find that game. We got it got to be somewhere out here. That's one of these old ADs. Like, I know y'all got this game. Where is it at? We got to see that because that's some history. How'd you do against them? Do you remember your numbers? Your stat line?
I did pretty well. I think. I probably end up having maybe 18, something like that, 18, 20, I kind of prided myself on that too, the big games, playing, my best. It doesn't always happen like that, but, for the majority, you want to play your best in the biggest games, and I was able to do that, whether it was scoring, whether it was assist or just giving my guys confidence. We were able to step up to a lot of those challenges, man.
I was going to ask you, because you guys won 3 championships, so you was talking about going back-to-back, then you three-peat.
Yeah.
And then those roster changes probably, right? So you probably had a different roster your first time winning it.
Right.
So talk about kind of how that, kind of affects it, and still having to get guys. You may have younger guys now or people now that's your age that weren't playing at that high level. That, like, you were playing varsity, they were probably playing JV freshman, but still watching what you guys were doing and then coming up. So talk about that, like with the roster changes, having to get everyone to buy in to what's going on and keeping that tradition alive.
Well, we had that culture, right? Yeah. We had the culture of This is a winning tradition. Winning's trumping everything. I don't give a fuck how many points you average. I don't care how many assists you average. I don't care about that. We're going to win first, and that's going to allow everybody to get their shine, and we'll let the balls bounce, and we'll talk about everything else after we win, right? So that was the mentality year after year. I think after 95, after we went undefeated, it was the thought, we had the mentality of what we're doing is right? So we're on the right track. We just got to keep those pieces plugged in, and we were able to do that. North Minneapolis, we want to say the mecca of hooping in Minnesota or Minneapolis, but it is. We are rough, we're tough, we're aggressive over there, and we were able, from sheer numbers, to just plug in players and keep it going from 95 to 96. A couple of obviously the seniors, the elder statesmen of that undefeated team left, but their DNA, the DNA that they left, the culture that they left was just uprooted in those underclassmen.
And who were those guys, man?
Those
seniors?
We had Albert Wall, Chris Rainey.
I heard that name. I heard that.
Albert Wall, unsung hero. Don't care who scored the points, don't care who gets the notoriety. He just wants to be productive. He just wants to do his part to help us win. And when you got teammates like that, your team is going to be the chemistry and the cohesiveness on your team is it's going to be hard to beat that team when you have selfless players like that. Albert Green, another big man, an unsung hero who just want to get out there and fight and do what he can do to help us win. Henry Smith, coming off the bench, a diehard Polar student of the Polar history, man. His father worked at North High. I want to say his mother did too, but worked at many years as the hall monitor for many years. Man, we just had guys who was rooted in the North High tradition. And so when you got guys going like that, going to your school, playing for your team, so selfless, it's hard to beat those type of players. We mentioned Chris Rainey, the most talented out of our bunch. Went to Nebraska University for football, but, he was the most talented player on our team, made us tough, gave us that confidence that we can get it done. And, we had a few more seniors on the team, but those guys were really the guys who really came off the bench and gave us that extra oomph when we needed it. And then moving on to, 1996, we had Carrick Taylor coming over from South High. Okay. He came over, joined us as a sophomore, and so he just filled in that big man spot that Albert and Albert left, and Henry, he was able to fill that forward spot and give us some size in the middle. And we had a transfer, Andre Gray. He came over from Southwest, who provided us some size, some three-point shooting. So, yeah, man. So, from one year to the next, we were able to plug in those positions that we needed. But we did it with the right guys, the guys with the right mentality who understood what we were trying to do at North High. So it made it for an easy transition.
Yeah, everyone got to buy in for it to work.
Yeah, man.
Closing in on the high school career, when it comes to all those teams you just described, described all three of the teams passionately. What team was the best one in your opinion and why?
All champions.
Well,
it's like you got the pick.
The best team.
In your opinion, it doesn't have to be the most talented team, the best team in your opinion, that if you had to pick all those teams and you're playing against your version of yourself on that team, which version you picking?
Wow. I would say the junior year team might be the best team. We lost one game that year. But I feel like that was my best season. Okay. I felt like I was the best version of myself my junior year. So I would pick that team. But we went undefeated, right, in 95. Right. We lost 3 games in 97. So, each of those teams were pretty dang good. But I got to go with the junior year just for me. But, you know, you asking the other teammate, they might have a different answer. But for me, the 1996 team was the best team. And, yeah.
Look, that's what's crazy is about that. My bad, Malik. I just had to mention this, just thinking about that, because what's crazy is about that, it's schools out here that be arguing like who was the best team, this, that, and that. But you literally got an argument between who was the best team of 3 different teams that you played on. That could make a case for the best like state championship team.
And that always is going to be, you know, something out there that you can debate. Yeah. You know, which teams were better for certain different years. But, you know, I can just say with ours, the 1995, the 1996 teams, those were the Sweet 16 state formulas, right? So there was only one state champion, 1995 and 1996. It wasn't four. Yeah, it wasn't 4 classes. It wasn't 4 champions. It was only one. So I think that format would just thrive in today's
I think it'll make everything simple.
You know. And it's unfortunate that, you know, high school basketball, we can't get to that level to only have one, being that the state size and all of that. I just think it just fits so well for Minnesota basketball to have one state champion. But we're pretty prideful for that one, you know, being that only champion those 2 years. So I got to say that we was the best. Best.
That's big. All right, so transitioning into college. So very storied high school career.
Yep.
And so college comes around, you choose UConn. Kind of tell us about that decision process. What other schools were you looking at, and how did you decide on UConn?
So my recruiting process, I had committed to the University of Minnesota as an underclassman, right? So my 10th grade year, I said I was going to go to the Gophers. Made my commitment, and I was going to stick to it. I was going to go to the University of Minnesota. I had went out east to the ABCD camp as a sophomore. I had one, you know, like top underclassmen at the camp. You know, that's the camp with Kobe Bryant, Lamar Odom.
LeBron, all of the players.
Well, LeBron's younger. LeBron, yeah, he wasn't there, but all the top players were at these camps, and I made top underclassmen, right?
You met
so
Rip
it was a big deal, huh?
You met Rip there?
Yes, we were on the same team. That's crazy. Me and Rip were on the same team at ABCD camp, and also Kevin Freeman was too. Who played with me at UConn, but he got hurt. But so we were all on the same team. That was crazy how that ended up happening.
Super crazy. We're gonna talk more about that later.
Okay, but yeah. So winning the top underclassmen there at ABCD. Just seeing all the college coaches there, man, seeing how they're recruiting guys and how hard they were being recruited, and then having the opportunity to actually play with the New York Gauchos for a summer. Went out to Vegas, had an opportunity to run with those guys. It was just a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. A kid from Minnesota being able to go out to New York and play with, you know, such a prestigious AAU team. It was kind of like a no-brainer for me, right? Me being from Minneapolis, listening to East Coast hip-hop, I kind of think like I am from the East Coast anyway, right? So man, it was just a no-brainer for me. I was able to gain a lot of confidence from that experience, man, and be really looked at as a top point guard in the country from that experience. So I hold it near and dear to my heart. I really, you know, was humbled by that experience, but I think it really set me apart from a lot of point guards in my class and people who thought that they were, you know, we were close in game styles. That really set me apart and really showed that who was the best.
So, and it's funny you mentioned, you know, you being from Minnesota going to the East Coast. How was their reaction? You know, we from Minnesota. We all know we've been in certain places, and they're like, "Oh, there's black people there." Was it kind of what was the energy like when they found out you was from? You know,
I think for sure. The initial reaction is you know, looking like wow, and you know, with me with my stature, I'm not, you know, crazy tall. Right. I'm not your typical point guard body or stature. You know, I might not look as quick as I am. So, yeah, I'm sure they had the apprehensions at first. But, you know, once you lace your sneakers up and get on the court, your game does the talking. And they can see that, you know, real hoop is real hoop, no matter it's from New York, no matter it's from Minnesota. So once you let the game do the talking, they bow down and have respect like they should. And so that was my job, to let them see that and let them know that, and I was able to do that.
Oh, that's big. You just mentioned before, I didn't know you knew Rip that early. So, go into, you guys playing together. You knew him that early, and just describe some of them UConn days that we don't know about. It's documented.
Well, meeting him at the ABCD camp, obviously we didn't know we were going to go to the same college.
Right.
So we was just trying to shine and let our skills do the talking for these big time coaches, big time schools, and be ranked, right? So we were on that mindset of getting our game on, winning these games here at the camp so we can, get our name out there. So that's what we were on. And real hoop knows real hoop, right? So, we kind of was vibing on those on that side of just hooping, wanting to do our best, wanting to win games for our team, and
both having a chip, it sounded like, too, a little bit.
Yeah, we are wanting to do well. Yeah, wanting to show who we are. I think that you can say that. Yeah. And so us doing that just, allowed us to come closer, and just always knew from afar, seeing his name, him seeing my name, I know he was like, oh, okay. Always kept up with one another going forward. But, yeah, knowing him and getting to see him, just the type of player that he was, 6'6", could shoot, could run. Man, he was a great player, and so he taught me a lot, even in that little time of knowing him, things that I can take from his game and put into my game.
Right. That's dope.
Even you guys talk about that. What was that whole year, the '99 championship year? What was some of the hardest things you guys had to face as a team that we kind of don't know about that you probably never even told, or maybe you have told? But
I that was a time where, the Big East was rough. The Big East was not – that was a real physical conference. We were number one damn near half of that season. So we got everybody's best game, man, and having to fight through that, having to perform, having to be ready each and every game. We just developed a great respect. We had great chemistry as a team. Again, we had selfless guys, man, who didn't care who got the notoriety, who just wanted our team to win, who was willing to just set picks, who was willing to just play defense, who was willing to do the things that they had to do in order for us to be the best team. And when you got guys that's on the team with you that can rock, that can play at a high level, your team is going to be successful. So just being able to keep that mindset, man, of we don't care who does it. We don't care who gets the notoriety. We just want to win. We just want to do the best for the team. Having that mentality gave us the chance and gave us the opportunity to go 34-2, for us to win the Big East Conference, to win the Big East tournament, right? To go out west and to win those games. It just gave us a lot of confidence, man, and a lot of good chemistry, man, to go as far as we did. Yeah.
One thing about you that I noticed when I watched all your highlights, you seem like you play off the crowd. What does it mean? When the fan heckles you or message you from the crowd, what does that do for you? Can you describe some of them stories where you got any crazy fans trying to troll you during the game and you kind of just anything like that?
I'm from the north side. And that means growing up, you couldn't self-proclaim yourself to be something. You had to show that you were that. So I'm having that mentality. If you're saying that I can't do it, I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to show you I can do it, right? So I'm coming. That was my mentality, right? And I didn't have a problem with that, right? I love to be challenged. I wanted to show the non-believers or the doubters, I wanted to prove them wrong. And so that's where my motivation came from. That's why I played to the crowd. Whether if we was playing at home, I wanted them to enjoy the game. I wanted to feed off their energy, so I am hyping them up. I am into the game. If we're on the road, I am using those, like you said, that trash talk that they're giving me, those bad names that they're calling me. I'm taking that as motivation and taking that in so I can use that and have the last laugh. Right? I value myself on having the road team crowd quiet at the end of the game. That means I did my job. So I was all for the smoke, whether it was guys talking trash on the other team, heckling student crowd or student section. I was all for that. Of course, my coach probably thought, I may have done it too much or whatnot, but whatever. I had fun playing the game. I was confident because I put the work in my skills. And so I wasn't going to shy down or back down from that because I grew up confronting that. I grew up in that type of environment. So I feel like I thrived in those situations.
So you kind of talked about it a little bit, especially been in that time with the Big East, how it was a little bit tougher. But it was also a time where, like, the point guards were the point guards, like quintessential, pretty much your second coaches on the floor. You're always going to have battles with them. So who you think was your toughest challenge that you may have faced when you were at UConn?
At UConn? Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ain't no disrespect. Every night in the Big East, you had a tough game, right?
Yeah. Some people.
It was just at a different level when you go up higher. But, everybody wanted to fight. I mean, I'm playing against John Linehan from Providence, Corey Wright from Providence. These little guards who is not going to give you an inch. You're going to pick you up 98 feet. I know it's only 94 feet, but they're going to pick you up 98 feet when you're out of bounds, man. So having the wars with them, Shaheen Holloway, going against him, having to try to keep him out the lane. Eric Barkley, having to fight against him. Jason Hart from Syracuse, having a fight with him. Every night in the Big East, man, you had to fight and you had to bring your A game. And so I prided myself on just doing that, being the best point guard, like you said, for our team, having us play at the tempo that makes us a good team, a fast, up-pace type of guard, getting the ball out in transition. Running good offense when, it's 5-on-5, being able to execute, but also running the pick and roll, getting opportunities in transition and creating, when I needed to do that. And I was giving, that confidence from Coach Calhoun and the coaching staff. All my teammates, they wanted me to do that. They gave me confidence to do that. And, like you said, back then, the point guard was the extension of the coach on the court, and you had to be able to run the team, right? Pass, get the ball to certain players in their spots. And also, knowing what coach wants and doing what coach needs, so.
Like you said, knowing when to slow it down, get it inside. And
you're the brains of the team,
without the coach even having to tell you.
But all of that goes back to me growing up, Northside YMCA, those pickup games, understanding our advantage, understanding how we're going to win those games to stay on the court. That's where all that came from, right? That's what groomed me for that stage is, those long nights at the Y, at the Hospitality House, North Commons, playing at Harrison, Minneapolis Park Board League. That's what groomed me for that and to be ready for that type of stage. And I wouldn't trade that experience for nothing, man, because that's what made me the type of player that I was.
Because it's been a great interview, but what I do want to hear, because you got the knowledge and you can go back a little bit further than some of us can, who are the top 5 you believe to come out of Minnesota? Can you give me 5?
The top 5.
Just give me 5.
I would ask a couple of questions. What goes into the top 5? Is it winning? Is it
It's your criteria. I want your criteria of 5 players that, fall under what, because everyone has what they love. For me, winning for sure has to be in it.
Are we talking about high school? Are we talking about?
No, I meant 5 players from Minnesota that you can name for me. However criteria you want it to be. What are the 5 best players out of Minnesota that you've seen?
Wow. I can give you, from my eyesight, from what my eyes have seen. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to, obviously, we got to go. And it's not even in any order, but it's just top 5. I mean, we got to put Jalen Suggs there with the type of athletic career and everything that he has had. I think he has to go up there. I think I'll put myself in there. I think, the winning mentality that I think Tyus has had, he has to go in there. And obviously, you see, I do value winning as in the criteria, but I don't think everybody people know about. There was a point guard named Ronnie Bull Henderson. He was the point guard for the Central. That school is Ronnie Henderson, Bull Henderson, man. The school right now is slipping my mind, but 76 state champs. 76 state champs. He was hard to guard. He was cold, fast, small in stature, could score, could run the team. I know you guys don't really know of him or know about him, but he has to go up there. So what is that, 4?
That's 4.
That's 4. And I think for my 5th, and it's not any disrespect to anyone, but and it's just for my eyes.
Yeah.
I would have to say for my 5th, I mean, I would have to say that my eyes have seen. I had to say Chris Rainey.
Yeah.
I had to say Chris Rainey, man, and a lot of those guys are all majority guards.
All guards.
So I do have. I can't lie. I am a little biased to the guards.
I like it. That's your 5.
That's my 5.
Yeah.
We're all winners. We all can score the ball when needed.
All leaders.
We can all affect the game when needed. And so that's my top 5.
I love that 5, right?
So before we get into your pro career, just tell us, what was the biggest moment for you in college? It might have been the championship. Could have been something off the court. What was that big takeaway for you from your college years and one of your biggest moments?
Well, yeah, I think, as far as a player, it has to be the national championship, right, of 99, bringing the first championship to the University of Connecticut, the first Final Four for Coach Calhoun and the University of Connecticut. It's unfortunate that it happened in 99. I wish I was born 15 years later. Possibly we could have gotten to some NIL. Yeah. Or we'll say not 15, we'll say 25 years later. So we could have got some of this NIL money. But besides that, I played the game to be remembered, right? And I wanted to, and I know I kind of got off subject for this, but when I was choosing which college to go to, I wanted to try to compete and win a national championship, right? And so I I said I had committed to the University of Minnesota as an underclassman, but as you know, I became a senior. They had just went to the Final Four in '96. You know, Bobby Jackson, Courtney James, John Thomas, Bobby Jackson, Quincy Lewis, all those type of players, right? But that next year in '97, a lot of those players weren't going to be there because they were graduating. Yeah. So we were going to be kind of starting over, right? I wanted to try to compete for a national championship. So that's the main reason why I said, okay, I'm going to open up my recruiting. I'm going to go take some visits because I want to go try and have an opportunity to win a national championship. So I went to go visit the University of Kansas. I went there, had a great visit. Paul Pierce was there. Rafe LaFrentz was going to be there. Jock Vaughn was going to be there for a year. I really felt like I had an opportunity to go there, but something just held me up and I didn't choose them. I went to the University of Georgetown to visit. Coach John Thompson. They didn't have the personnel to win a national championship. I had seen that. I understood that. But then that's why I went out to the University of Connecticut to see. And out there at UConn, I had the opportunity to play with the team. And, man, it was just like there's a legend out there, man, that, you know, when I got on the court on my visit, it was just like it fit. Yeah. It was supposed to be like that. We had big men, Jake Vasco, Kevin Freeman. We had shooters and Richard Hamilton, Rashamel Jones. We had point guards, Ricky Moore, myself. We had, you know, strong mentality guys coming off the bench. Yeah. So it just felt right playing with those guys. And like I said, there's a legend of me just telling everybody what to do. Go over there. Hey, after you set that screen, open up. I'm going to hit you. Rip. Hey, after you do that, you know, just telling everybody, putting them in place. Like I said, it just seemed like it was the place to be. And it just really felt like it was where I was supposed to end up. And so, you know, after I played with the guys, I felt like I wanted to go there. So that's the reason why I ended up at the University of Connecticut. And, you know, it seemed to be the right decision because we were able to win a national championship. And that's what all I wanted to do, to have an opportunity to compete, opportunity to win one. And we were able to do that.
Right. Just one more thing before we go on to the pro career. Just because you played for a legendary coach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I wouldn't be me if I had to ask you. Do you got some crazy Jim Calhoun stories in practice or anything like that?
Hey, and yes, to answer your question, it's a lot of them. And it's crazy because, you know, you hear about today's college basketball and the state and where it is and how it seems like, you know, a lot of the things that was going on when I was playing, you can't do that anymore, or players react differently to that type of coaching now. And, you know, even though, you know, coach was hard on us, I felt like it, for me, that's the type of coach that I needed, right? For him to hold me accountable, for him to be hard on me, not, you know, allow me to do anything that I wanted. I think that really helped me and shaped me to be the player that I was, the person that I am. And so, yeah, coach was the type of guy, man. He wasn't going to bite his tongue, man. He was going to, you know, call you cocksuckers. He's going to call you motherfuckers, man. Man, we're playing at home against Michigan State, right? Mateen Cleaves. You know, they had their whole crew, right? So they go up 9-2 on us at home. They jump out 9-2. Coach called the first time out. We come to the bench. You stupid motherfuckers. But in saying that, though, we weren't taking it personal like he's calling us stupid motherfucker. He was trying to get us to understand, like, there's no way we can start this type of a big game like this, you know, flat, not thinking, making mistakes, right? So he was pleading to the competitor inside of us. And so we had to answer that call, and we did respond the right way, right? We were able to get tough. We were able to fix those early mistakes that we were making. But, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of name calling. It was a lot of trying to get you to compete harder, right? Trying to get you to step up, trying to hold you accountable, man. And I think that, like I said, for me, that was the type of coaching that I need. And if you're a good player, you want to be coached like that, though. You don't want to just be allowed to do anything you want to do. You want to be held accountable. You want to be able to grow. You want to be able to get better. And through that hard coaching is how that happens. And so I loved every minute of it. I know sometimes when he was yelling at me at that time, I didn't love it, but I was able to understand what he was doing, and took my feelings out of it and was able to bounce back, because that's all he wanted to do, for you to bounce back through that. It's not, making a mistake. We're going to do that as humans, but it's how we react and how we bounce back from the mistakes that define who we are. So I appreciate the way he coached me.
Got to learn from him.
That's real, man.
So what was it like, man, getting drafted? Like you said, man, you're a kid from Northside Minneapolis. Of course, you've seen a couple of your previous teammates go far and Chris played football. But what is it like, pretty much probably in a while? I know I don't want to act like I know as much history as I should, but that's why we doing what we doing, because we want this history out there. That's why we. So for sure, as far as we know, because even from as a kid, it's like, yeah, you nice, but you ain't El-Amin nice. So you pretty much been the first one getting drafted, from the state, man. That, as far as we know in recent history, at least from the inner cities. So how was that?
Man, it was a dream come true, right? All the hard work, like I mentioned, from the YMCA, from the hospitality house, park board, going up to North, just all that hard work and hours spent in the gym, going on to Connecticut, winning a championship, just all that work that I've put in, seemed like it paid off. Like, I was able to reach the NBA, right? A lot of players can't say that, right? And that was just another measure of me separating myself from, players that thought that we were close, right? Being able to make it to that top level, and just happy for my family, my friends who were with me, and it was like I said, it was a dream come true. But that's when the work really started, though, right? Playing the game at college it's good, it's cool, but it ain't a job. Right, and making it to the NBA, that is your job, right? And so you have to approach it like a job. You have to, put the work in. You're playing against the best players in the world, man. Just think, man.
Day in and day out.
One night, you got Stephon Marbury. You're playing a back-to-back. You got Allen Iverson the next night. Then you get a night off. You go down. You might fly down. You have John Stockton. Then after John Stockton, you got Gary Payton. You got a guard next. Then after that, you got Travis Best at Indiana. You got a guard.
Slept on too.
Right? And then after that, you got to go play against Steve Nash after that. And then after that, you got Terrell Brandon in Minnesota. You coming back to play there, right? So then you got Andre Miller in Cleveland, right? So you never, and I talked about, playing against the Big East, how every night it's a hard fight. In the NBA, this is the difference between college and the NBA. College, you're going to have a guy that's going to fight. He's going to compete, right? But he probably can't score for real. So in that aspect, you're going to have a night off, right?
Right.
NBA, man, you don't get that night off. Yeah, he probably don't score a lot for his team because he don't have to, but he can score, right? Yeah. So if you're slipping, he is going to score, right? So you got to be on your P's and Q's each and every night in the NBA, or you're going to get read your rights. And Unfortunately, man, it's very hard to stay in that league, but I was able to be there, able to get there, learn a lot while I was there, and it helped me to be a better professional in Europe. So my time in the NBA was it wasn't as long as I wanted, but I did learn a lot of things there, and I'm happy. I'm happy with the time that I spent there. But it made me a better professional for Europe, for sure.
What was your most memorable NBA game that you can remember?
Oh, man. It was a few of them. I had 15 in L.A. on Kobe and Shaq.
Hey, it's legendary right there.
Had 21. We're playing Washington Wizards in Chicago, had 21. Had 18 against Dallas Mavericks. It wasn't about, it's another thing about the NBA, man. It's a business, right? Yeah. So unfortunately, what that means is it means that, you can and should be playing on the court, but that doesn't actually mean that you're going to actually be out there playing and competing, because the team, the organization might want to see another player what he can do at a certain time. Like, I started the first 14 games of the season with the Bulls, right? That's the reason why I made the rookie All-Star game. Yeah, I was able to do it. I was able to show I can play, but after those 14 games, okay, they had a good idea of what I could do. So now it's the next person's turn, right? So you can play 14 games, and then 14 games you can go without playing. Right. It's a long NBA season, and that's why it's great to have NBA vets on your team, right? Yeah. I was on the youngest team with the Chicago Bulls. Our vet, maybe, who was it? Ron Mercer or Fred Hoiberg was probably the vet on the team, right? Which they were a few years in the league, right? So we didn't have that vet who could really help me understand that it's such a long season. Stay cool, be patient, continue to work hard while you're not playing. I was a young player who was upset that he wasn't playing, and just didn't know the ins and outs of the NBA. I was a rookie. How could I, right? So learning those things from being a professional really helped me for my career in Europe. The NBA is definitely the best league in the world, though.
Yeah. Just look at what you just described. Like, look at the time when you played for the Bulls. That's this is the aftermath of all the Jordan stuff when they're trying to basically. Yes. So that's like when you think about that, I was like they was in rebuild mode. So it's that was just probably the worst place for them to be. Tough. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
It was definitely tough, man.
Do you think it was like you said, it's a business? Do you think it was like blatant, like on some like clear biasness, why they kind of, the NBA career didn't plan out, it wasn't as long? Or do you feel like it was just kind of?
Well, I could just say, my time with the Bulls, I was a second-round pick. They had, a few first-round picks. They had Jamal Crawford.
Mm-hmm. Right. I forgot he was there.
They picked Jamal Crawford. They picked Marcus Fizer in the first round that year. So they were, going to make their opportunity for their first round picks to play. But I just think that goes to show you about my game, though. Yeah. At that moment in time, in 2000, I was the best guard. I won the starting job at the beginning of the season. And so, of course, Jamal Crawford, the hell of the big time talent that he was. It was just a matter of time of him getting this opportunity. But I just think at that moment in time, I was the best guard, and that's why I was awarded the starting job, and I showed what I can do. But I do wish I had a little bit longer of a career in the NBA.
Yeah, real quick, I feel like your style, because even like how you describe your game style, you look at guards like Jalen Brunson, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these are small guards, but they big, and they can kind of get to where they want to get. You think your game would fit in the NBA today versus more back then? Or how
I think so, for sure, because, this game right now is kind of situated for the offense to be successful, right? They don't allow you to hand check. They try to, have the big scores and a lot of scoring in today's game, to satisfy the entertainment part of the game. But, back when I was playing, this hand checking, guys were really able to touch you. So, yeah, that really slowed you down. So, yes, I think I could thrive in today's game with the lack of hand checking and that nature. But at the same time, you still got a guard, too,
Yep.
So it would be difficult to do that. But, as long as I had the opportunity, I think I could play at this level.
And then you already kind of mentioned it, so I guess I won't ask the comparison question because you already said the NBA is the best kind of league in the world. But you did, like you said, have a substantial career in Europe.
Yes.
Played in a lot of beautiful countries. What do you think was the best country that you played in?
Wow. I'll just say this before I answer that question.
Okay.
The difference between the NBA and Europe. The NBA, it is, unfortunately, it's more of an individual game. And I'll say like this because it's so much room on the court, right? The big NBA court is a big court. If you can defend one-on-one, if you can play one-on-one, you have a chance to play in the NBA, right? Because there's so much space and you're able to do that. I think in Europe, man, it's a much more physical game, though, right? 5-on-5, grinding it out. They're allowing them to touch you, allowing teams. There's no 3-second defensive 3 seconds, so you can play zone over there, right? And over there, nobody cares if you score 40 and you lose. Like, yeah, you had a good game, but nobody's really going to remember that. They're going to remember the winning. If you score 10 points and win, they're going to look at you like a legend, like you really did something, right? They value winning in Europe, right? So that's the difference in between the European game and the NBA game, man. It's just more of a team spirit, a team game, and they value winning over, a flashy scorer that's scoring a lot of points but not winning. You're not valued as much over there. Read with the fundamentals in mind, right? They don't get bored with the fundamentals over there, and you can see what's dominating the NBA game right now.
Exactly.
The European players.
A year ago, y'all said I was tripping. I said it a year ago. They coming.
It's just it's because of the basketball schools, how they're taught and how that's just ingrained in them, right? So they might not be gifted athletically to jump the highest, who can run the fastest, but they're going to work hard, right? And their fundamentals are going to be top notch. Their fundamentals are going to be at a level that where, if you're just an athlete and you don't have these fundamental skills, they're going to be able to play with you. They're going to be able to beat you, right? Because fundamentals goes a long way, right? If you're only able to jump high, you're not able to have the right footwork in different situations, you're going to lose. And so that's the way basketball is, and that's the reason why so many European players are thriving in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Basketball training, man, and a lot of young players don't know that. I was just coaching D3 JUCO, man, and it's unfortunate how many players have gotten to college without knowing some of the very basic stuff of playing basketball, man.
Yeah.
It's a shame, man. It's sickening, actually, right? And we just talked about, those players from Europe having the basketball school and them learning and understanding that we do our players a disservice here in America, man, by not giving them, those fundamentals, basketball schools where they're learning and they're thriving off that, right? They're jumping right into step backs, right into crossovers when you don't even know how to triple threat jab step, right? So it's unfortunate that the game is where it is, but that's where the American game has to get back to having good basketball schools, so basketball players at a young age can get that mentality, and then they can become a better player, and we will see the game catch back up with our American players, because that's what we need. We need good basketball schools, man. It's a lot of downtime in Europe, man. You're going to practice twice a day. But, after all that, you're going to have a lot of downtime, and you got to really love yourself, man. You're going to spend a lot of time alone. Well, it depends.
Foreign
you have
language.
a family.
Right.
And, you can bring your family over, but a lot of times, you don't have a family, right? And you're going to be over there alone. So, thank God for technology.
Right.
So, you're able to spend, and keep your family close through technology, but just a lot of downtime and, being strong mentally, man. You can be missing home, missing your family, and if you allow that to affect you, that can affect your game. And you can still got to play at a high level. You still, have to be you.
Yeah.
Even though you might not have all your comforts over there. So, knowing and learning how to adapt to those situations. So that you're comfortable and that you're able to play at a high level, man, because they're going to expect you to perform over there. They're not giving you all that money to come over there and be average, and to be being a young. Nah, man.
No, for sure. So amazing legacy. We just recapped here. And just on that topic of legacy, and you just mentioned family as well, you got a couple sons who play the game too, right?
Yeah.
And Khalid El-Amin, what's his relation to you?
Yeah, it's my son.
That's your son as well. So
Yes.
talented senior out of Minnetonka this past year.
Yes.
Going to Morehead State next year, right?
Yes.
So very talented player. We actually got to go out to that YZ game last year at Minnetonka. Minnetonka lost, unfortunately, but it was a pretty good game, and he brought out to that game. So just talk about legacy, talk about you instilling, morals and values into your kids with the game, outside the game. Just how is that for you as a father?
Yeah, growing up, that is something that I learned through my father, supporting me and my dreams, my aspirations, man, driving me all across the country to participate in AAU tournaments, in national camps, just really doing his part as a father, man. And I just hope and pray that I gave, that same focus, that same commitment to them,
Right.
and supporting their dreams. I think, as far as fathers, as far as being parents, I should say, being a father, the biggest compliment we can get from our children is having them follow in our footsteps, right? So them wanting to hoop, them wanting to make a career out of playing basketball, knowing the big footsteps that that they're going to be stepping into. I salute that, and wanting to be there for them, wanting to help them at any cost is something that a father would do. So, like I said, I just hope that I'm giving them the right amount of support and confidence that my father gave me for them to go out to be their best, because, I was very sure of who I was on the court because of my parents, my father's support. So I hope they feel that same comfort and same love from me for them to go out and be the best that they can be on the court and off.
I love that.
Absolutely. Gotta love it.
That's legendary, man. Kind of closing up things right now. What have you kind of been working on right now? I know you mentioned coaching at the D3 JUCO, Division 3 JUCO. So what kind of have you been doing now?
Well, I'm in the NBA coaches development program. So I'm trying to move up the ranks in coaching, whether that be professional in the NBA or being, I want to get to high level D1, being able to coach at the next level. Like you said, I do a lot of basketball training, which is, doing a lot of training here in the Twin Cities. I have the Minneapolis Nike camp, which I do each summer. So just always around the game, always giving back to the younger generation and the next generation coming up. I think it's my duty, man, to help the next young players understand how to play the right way. And I think that, it's just the next logical step for me is to stay around the game and continue to help the game grow, and wanting to become, a coach on the highest level.
Yeah, The game needs people who care. You seem like you care.
Yeah,
So
man, speaking of that, I know going forward, we looking forward to the Trap Right Awards. I know you're about to be a part of that.
For
man.
sure.
Yeah, let's talk about your involvement in that, man.
Yeah, man, the Trap Right Awards, man. We're giving out the best coach, the best overseas player, the best college player. We're trying to hit,
Don DeMarco time.
all aspects of the basketball game, giving everybody their flowers, and it's about, shining a light on the Minnesota talent and things that players might not, have the opportunity to be recognized. We want to give them that opportunity to be recognized, but not only in sports, in every industry, all right? No matter if it's entertainment, no matter if it's, your entrepreneur, whatever it is, you need to be recognized. The award, the Trap Right Award show is here to do that, and we're happy. We're happy that we're going to be able to bring this to the community, bring this to the state, and we want it to grow. So we want to put on a good show, but we wanted to make it even bigger and better for years to come. So I'm excited about it. I hope everybody comes out and support, because we want to make it a very community field based event, and yeah, man, let's get to it.
Yeah, man, that was something, man. We gonna definitely put that out there when we done with this, man. Shout out to you for pulling up, man. It's a classic episode. We closing out. This is TCS. We'll be back. Shout out to Khalid El-Amin for pulling through.
That's right.
This is a classic joint. Like, for real, this is gonna be one of them joints that get us over a certain amount of points.
Let's get
this
it.
is a milestone. This is a milestone for us for having
Respect.
you on here.
It's all good. It's all love, man. I appreciate
shout out
it.
to Trap Right. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the awards.
That's right.
So we gonna just keep on to support each other.
You'll
keep
see
on
us
building,
there.
man. Keep on building. We out, man.
You'll see us there, man.